I believe Ashanti is in an abusive relationship, and she uses 2 coping mechanisms to deal with the stress of it all. One of those coping mechanisms is she laughs a lot. She laughs at everything. And honestly, I don't think anything is that much funny. But when she's sitting with Nelly or she's sitting with her mama, you can see the micro expressions in her face when she's uncomfortable. But she will laugh. She will laugh her way through whatever's making her feel uncomfortable or uneasy. That is a coping mechanism. And the other coping mechanism, I believe, is emotional eating. I do believe she's an emotional eater. And the fact that Nelly told her that he prefers her with a little extra weight, the weight that she gained from her pregnancy and post-pregnancy, he told her he likes, the extra weight on her. Let me tell y'all something. That is a red flag of a controlling, narcissistic man. Whenever a man tries to change your appearance aesthetically, and I said this in my video yesterday when I was speaking about a man who tries to stop you from wearing makeup once you get in a relationship with him, he's a narcissist. Only narcissistic men will try to dim your light, water you down, downplay your beauty, because he's insecure. He doesn't want other men to want you, first of all. He wants to keep you isolated from your lifestyle, the things that you enjoy doing, your hobbies, your girlfriends, going out, all that, the things that make you who you are, your bubbly personality. Once you get into a relationship with an abusive, narcissistic man, he will stop all that shit, honey. So if you love wearing makeup and weave and nails, he'll stop you from wearing that. But he'll disguise it as concern. Baby, I love you and I just feel that you look more beautiful natural. No, honey, he's insecure and he's in competition with you. Number one, he knows you'll get more attention than him and he doesn't like the attention you get. That's also signs of a DL man, by the way. Hint, hint. But back to the emotional eating. And I speak on this, ladies. I used to be married and now I'm divorced.
Ashanti represents hope for the modern Black woman. Ashanti represents hope for the modern woman. The woman in her 40s who still wants to get married to a high value man and have a baby. Ashanti represents hope. And I think this is important because as women, many of us were told that we can have it all, get our college degree, freeze our eggs, date around, sleep around, do what we want, dress how we want, say what we want to say, just be out here living free, right? And many of us, our goal is to live free, is to put happiness at the highest level. And the reality is people who have been married a long time, parents, anyone like business owners, entrepreneurs, most people admit that the things that they want, that they treasure, the things that they desire come with great sacrifice and sometimes sleepless nights, long days, major investments, emotional investments, financial investments, physical investments. This is the truth, is that whatever you want, you are going to have to work for it, work to maintain it, to keep it. That is going to require a level of work. There's going to be fun sprinkled in there, of course. But I think part of the problem is this romanticizing love and relationships, romanticizing marriage. I am guilty of this too, right? So in no way, what I'm saying applies to me too. And in I believe the next episode, I'm going to be unpacking something very specific about this idea of romanticizing marriage. But we were told as women, modern women told that we can have it all. And that includes being happy most of the time and not having a whole lot of resistance and pushback from anyone, getting our way, having people, bend to what we want. And it feels good. I'm not going to lie. It feels great to have that level of agency in the world where, you say jump, somebody says how high because of whatever status you might be in. Maybe you are, you have a corporate job or something like that. And, so we get used to controlling everything as much as we can about our lives. And the problem is that when it comes to dealing with other people, even your own kids, dealing with starting a business, those types of things, there's so much that's out of your control. And when you're single, that's almost like the beauty, so to speak, or the ease of being single is because you can have, to an extent, have more control over your situation. Now, granted, there's always going to be things out of our control as humans, but when you're single, you can, there's a way in which you can kind of control things a little bit better. Once you go into a relationship where you get married, you have no control over somebody looking you dead in your face and saying, you're on your own. I don't got nothing for him. Holler at me when he turns 3. Now, to be fair, from what I've heard, because I did not watch the reality show with Nelly and Ashanti, I heard that it was framed around them having the money to afford help. So the idea was more about not so much, that he's saying, I'm not going to help you, Ashanti, but saying more like, why should I have to do that as a father? Why should I have to change diapers? Because we can hire a nanny. And as I don't know what it's like to be wealthy or rich, so I can kind of see where he's coming from because he's 50 years old. But the reality and what most women want to hear is not that, is that, well, you'll do what it takes regardless. What if the nanny is not available? What if, we're in a situation and what if I need you? Are you telling me you're not going to do it at all? And I'm tired and you still saying you're not going to do it? He made it clear, or Shanti made it clear from something she said, that she's the one getting up in the middle of the night. Apparently he sleeps through the baby crying. And some of this is not to completely excuse him, but he has had multiple children. So a lot of times, when you've had more than one, you're just a lot more relaxed and nonchalant about things versus when it's your first baby, you're a lot more, attentive. But again, I think this is a positive thing. I think this is great for the internet, for Black people, for the Black community, for Black YouTube, for Black Twitter or whatever. This is great for Hollywood, for Black Hollywood, because what it exposes is a layer of complexity that so many couples go through, and not necessarily that same situation, but it exposes a nuance, because we all see Ashanti with the pregnant belly and, oh, wow, and really it was like at the last minute, the fact that it even worked out for her to have a baby, to carry a child, is amazing. And I shouldn't say carry a child, but not to get all into the biology of it, but the fact that she didn't need a surrogate because she's 44. I believe she had her baby at 43. A lot of women struggle. I mean, she met Nelly pretty quickly. She got pregnant. I mean, I shouldn't say met. She reconnected with Nelly and pretty quickly got pregnant, and got married and pregnant. I'm not sure the order of how things happened, but You know, Ashanti represents hope for so many women who want that, who sit around and idealize relationships, and they dream of Prince Charming coming and sweeping them off their feet. And sometimes this does happen, but most of the time, even if Prince Charming is sweeping you off of your feet, there's going to be a period where even Prince Charming is going to get real with you. The life is going to get real with you. The situation is going to get real. And that Prince Charming can't always be Prince Charming. It's not realistic. We're talking about a human being, another person. And that's why this is so good, because what this story does with Ashanti and Nelly, it exposes a level of imperfection that to a degree should be normalized in relationships. And when I speak this way, when I talk this way, it turns women off, because most women want me to lie. They want women to lie and to say things like, oh, girl, take your time. Girl, I know you 45. You can still have a baby. No problem. Maybe you can. But there's a strong possibility that you might need some medical intervention. And women want you to say, I don't know, to just paint such a perfect picture of love.
If you notice, as soon as Ashanti gave birth to the baby, she hasn't really had a chance to rest and enjoy motherhood. She's back touring and doing shows with a baby. Even Beyonce took a fucking time out. Beyonce took a couple years off. Beyonce wasn't back out here, and she's a hardworking woman. But Beyonce took time off to enjoy her newborn baby. So I think Ashanti is an emotional eater, which explains the weight gain. The other person who is stressing Ashanti out is Nelly. And like I said, they think it's cute. He's sitting up there saying that he likes her with the extra weight. No, he don't. He know when Ashanti broke up with him, she leveled up and she was seen on the beach with a badass body in a bikini. She was living her life on her terms, looking good. Every fucking man wanted her. Nelly knows that. So what Nelly did, Nelly circled back around. He locked her down with marriage and a baby because she desperately wanted that. However, now he's convinced her that the extra weight gain looks good on her. No. Nelly don't want her back looking good. He don't want no other man to want her. And he wants to break her self-esteem. You could just tell in the interviews that he's a big child. He is a fucking man child. He doesn't want to take care of the baby. You know, if the baby's crying, he already said it in the interview. He's jealous of the fucking baby. He stresses Ashanti out. But again, Ashanti laughs to prevent herself from crying. And I do believe she's an emotional eater, because emotional eating helps to disguise the pain. It comforts you when you are stressed or in pain. Now, like I said, this video is not to bully Ashanti. It's actually to educate women on what the early signs, the red flags are of dealing with a narcissistic man. Don't get yourself locked down into something and trapped and then be stuck miserable and allow this man to dim your light and break your spirit. Pray for Ashanti. I said what I said.
And what I can say about me is that, I've shared here that I've had some negative experiences in relationships, but I've also had some amazing experiences. And I could go on for hours about what it was like meeting my husband, us dating, and all the things even up until now that we do together. So I'm not in any way trying to frame this as around like, brace yourself, it's going to be war. But there is part of why I'm doing this series is to expose and uncover a layer that as women, we don't really talk about. We don't talk about, because see, what we do, many of us, is go from cloud nine to filing divorce papers. It's like, oh, everything's good. I'm so happy. And then it's like, yeah, we're divorced. I graduated, and it's like, well, what about everything in between? And what can I share about that journey? And there's not a lot of information online about the topic of being covered. In fact, there's some controversy about the topic of being covered, and I hope to get into that, not in this video. So again, this is me I'm trying to fill a gap with knowledge and information and just with stories and experiences, a gap that exists, but also recognizing because that gap exists that there's not a lot that I could find about the covered woman. It to some extent made it a little harder for me to pull all this together because I'm trying my best to explain and make my point without having a lot to really build on. The reality is that I and I should say many married women, I'll speak for myself. I love being married and it's hard. So two things are true. And people tend to want things to be black and white. Well, is it all good or is it all bad? And with things like marriage, with things like I use being an entrepreneur, you know, even being a parent, there's these layers of complexity. Like, of course, you love being a parent, you love your kids, you love having the title of being a mom or a dad. But that doesn't absolve it from being incredibly challenging at times. So that is the nuance that I want to capture in this series. Being married does not solve all of your problems. And although intuitively many of us know this, however, for some reason, I think, we think, for example, seeing Ashanti get married, it's like you got something you wanted, a husband and a baby, which is amazing at her age. She got it, seemed like very quickly. But as anything in life that we want, in most cases comes with great sacrifice. And it comes with another side that people want to pretend like shouldn't even exist. They want to see Ashanti ride off in the sunset with Nelly. And, and there's a discourse around whether or not she should have like revealed this part of their marriage. Perhaps they, on the show, they should have just, edited that part out. But my whole thing is a lot of times these celebrities have free range to what they include in these type of reality shows, and they left that in there. So, it seems like, I don't know if it's helping their storyline, I'm not sure, but to me, there's a reason why, almost for the same reason, like, why do we know that Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce? Like, why do we know that? So often, or maybe not often, but sometimes celebrities will come out and they'll reveal a part of their personal lives that they actually don't have to reveal because nobody is really checking for them to say anything. Jada Pinkett is, a huge example of coming out, exposing all this stuff. And it's like, well, we didn't even ask for that. And so there's a question around, well, why do they do that? Because it's not like anyone exposed this. This was something that they chose to do, is to sort of talk openly about the dynamics of their marriage. And I'm not really sure, if it's, like I said, to get more attention on their show. But again, I think it's good because we are able to now have conversations conversations about them that we weren't able to have before. And unfortunately, there's a lot of reactions saying, oh, Ashanti needs to get a divorce. Her marriage is ruined and she's desperate. She's a married single mom. There's a lot of commentary saying that, her marriage is in danger. But again, I go back to, I wonder why they chose to share it, There must be a reason why. And maybe they didn't know how we were going to respond. With Claudia Jordan, again, we have to, going back to the woman who no one wants to be. No woman wants to be in her situation. You name a woman that wants to be sitting on a podcast at almost 50, talking like Claudia Jordan, given her track record. I can't think of anybody. I don't know of anybody who would want that. Ashanti also is in that similar spot right now. The woman who no woman wants to be right now, or at least they're saying they don't want to be her because of what has been exposed about her marriage. And I think ultimately it's good to get these different perspectives. Because as I said, as I started this video by saying, one of my flaws is seeing what I don't want to be and trying not to be that. And so I am working on who I want to be. And so hopefully with all that I said, you can gain something that you can take away. So definitely like, share, and subscribe. I want to thank channel members. If you are a member of my channel, I want to thank you. I have some loyal folks who have been riding with me for quite some time now. And thank you to channel members. And if you want to become a channel member and get access to exclusive content, I have been recently making available for channel members episodes of Conversations with a Black Man series. Some of those episodes are available for channel members only. So this is different than what the public sees. They're these conversations that I had with two Black male life coaches, Curtis Brooks and Corey Morris, two Black male life coaches. Great conversations, and didn't put all the content out. Some of the content is exclusively for channel members. And so if you want to see this content or more of my members only content, please do click the link in the description box, or you can click the join button at the top of your screen. I am Naka, your host. This is the Covered series, and I am excited to continue to center the voices and the experiences of married women. So stay tuned, come back. We're going to be getting deeper into some more topics. And as always, stay tuned for more videos.
Coming out the gate with Cosby, which put me in a position where, and because I've always had a good team around me, I've always been in a position where I've had the luxury of being meticulous about the kind of roles that I choose. My mom was really instrumental in getting me to understand the concept of longevity, the concept of being versatile within this business, because she would always say, if you look at anyone in this business who's had longevity, there are times when they've been hot and times when they've not been hot. You have to decide what you're going to do during those times when you're not hot, so you're not making desperate action choices. I've been fortunate enough to I've always had the financial wherewithal to be meticulous about the kind of work that I do. So I have a body of work that I will never have to be embarrassed by. There may be some work I might be embarrassed because I might have been whack, but there's nothing in my body of work that I'll ever have to be embarrassed in that I misrepresented my people, or I have continued to perpetuate stereotypes of our people. I've been very fortunate to be able to, pick and choose. I've never had to take a role that I felt would compromise my soul.